From a cave came a sour little grump with a bucket of mortar and certainty's hump. Seams are untidy, they wiggle, they leak, the outside gets notions, the strangers may speak. A proper belief should be finished and shut, no hinges, no windows, no troublesome but. He mortared the boundary, polished the face, then hung up a sign, open quote, no corrections. This space is complete, close quote. Coyote tapped once. The wall answered, shoo. He tapped it again. It replied, that proves you. Sisyphus nodded. A marvelous trick. Whatever attacks it just makes it more thick. That, Coyote whispered, is dogma's best game. It eats contradiction and calls it a claim. It turns every patch into enemy fire, then warms itself proudly beside the first liar. A small child named Lou, who saw straight through display, asked, how can a thought stay alive acting that way? It can't, said Coyote, though sometimes it lingers. A fist can stay closed till it starves its own fingers. The engineer inspects the join and lay. Along came a builder with diagrams rolled, with systems half new and with databases old. A seam, said the builder, is neither mere crack nor a place where two parts must pretend to be one stack. It carries the load. It permits an exchange. It lets each side differ while both sides can change. Too open, it leaks. Too rigid, it snaps. A workable seam is a doorway for patches. In software, in bridges, in people, in grief, the joins bear more truth than the polished belief. Hide every join and the system looks grand, until one small failure brings down the whole stand. Coyote grinned. Yes, a seam should admit that the pieces are joined but do not perfectly fit. The seam is not failure. The seam is the art of letting two wholes remain whole while they part. Sisyphus stared at his stone with suspicion. So endless repair is my cosmic position? Perhaps, said Coyote. But here is the twist. The problem's not patching. It's claiming no patch should exist. The cell who made her own door down in a droplet, too small to be seen, lived cell, in a membrane both supple and clean. She fashioned the parts that kept fashioning her. Each molecule worked in a self-making blur. The network made membrane. The membrane made room for the network to keep up its molecular loom. Lou scratched at her chin. So which one came first? Yes, Coyote answered. Lou said, that's the worst. The circle's the point, said the cell with a laugh. I'm not built once and divided in half. I continuously make what continues to make me. My being's a verb. No noun can forsake me. Her pieces could alter, be broken, renewed, while the pattern of making herself still continued. That pattern's organization, Coyote explained. The pieces are structure, the parts rearranged. Change structure, stay living. But lose the whole dance, and cell becomes chemistry left to mere chance. Lou peered at the membrane. But cell said she's closed, yet nutrients enter. Her waste is disposed. Closed in her doing, said Sly Brother Fox. Not closed like a tomb or a safe with 6 locks. No outside commander reaches in through a pore and tells every molecule what it is for. The world may perturb her, may bump, heat, or shake, but her present own structure decides what change she can make. She's open to matter, to energy, stew. She's closed in the network that keeps making who? Closed in her making, but open to chew, said Lou. Yes, said Coyote. That's close enough, Lou. How cell and world learned to dance. The world pushed on cell. Cell altered her ways. The world pushed again through a history of days. Yet world did not write upon cell like a page. It offered disturbance, resistance, and change. Cell answered according to what cell had been, which altered the cell who would answer again. That long mutual shaping, each contact, each turn, is structural coupling, a history that learns. Not learning as copying a world held apart, but changing through contact while keeping one's heart. A flame means danger to fur-bearing Lou. It means fuel to a cook and mere heat to a shoe. A branch is a perch to a bird overhead, a bridge to an ant, to a beetle, a bed. The world is not featureless stuff wearing tags. Significance grows from the creature it snags. To cell, sugar matters. To stone, it does not. A world becomes meaningful through what keeps whom from rot. That is sense-making, not labels retrieved, but a world made significant through how one lives. The star child asks where the world is. A small wandering prince from a button-sized moon arrived with a scarf in the blue afternoon. Is the world over there, asked the prince, fully made, while the mind sits inside taking notes in the shade? Do eyes take a picture? Does brain keep a copy? Is thought just a clerk making folders less sloppy? Coyote chased his own tail for effect. That view, he said, keeps mind and world too erect. 2 finished-up kingdoms exchanging reports, with senses as mailmen and brains as their courts. But living perception is action in flight. We move through the world and bring relevance to light. You don't first construct a complete inner floor, then calculate walking and walk through a door. You lean, you adjust, you reach and recoil. You learn what a surface affords through the soil. The body's not transport for mind in the head. The body is part of how worlds become read. Then world and mind both arise through the dance? Not out of pure nothing, said Fox. Not by chance. There's something resisting. The world pushes back, but meaning emerges along the lived track. No pre-given mind with a map neatly curled. No purely pre-given significance-filled world. Through histories of sensing and acting entwined, a meaningful world and a minded life bind. That, said the prince, sounds lonely no more. Precisely, said Lou. There's a seam, not a door. The beetle without an opinion. A beetle then hurried beneath a broad leaf and dodged a bird's shadow with excellent grief. Tell us, said Sisyphus, what did it think? Did it form the proposition? A hawk! I must shrink? The beetle said nothing. It went on its way. Coyote said, notice how much minds can do without making sentences hidden from view. A creature can turn, seek, avoid, catch, and flee without inwardly stating what each thing must be. Its history, body, and worldly engagement may guide it without representational pageant. No tiny librarian, no sentences stored, no homunculus reading a mental dashboard. The green grump protested, but thoughts must have content. All cognition must mean something. That is self-evident. Meaning to whom? Asked Lou with delight. Does a moth think lamp when it circles the light? Coyote bowed. That is radical inactivism's dare. Don't smuggle in content unless content is there. Basic minds may be skillful, directed, awake, without truth-bearing models of all that's at stake. Content comes later through language and lore, through public correction and reasons we share. With stories and symbols, with false and with true, we learn to make claims others can challenge and view. A dog can chase rabbits. A child can say, dog mistook that old slipper for prey in the fog. The chase needn't represent in a truth-bearing way. The sentence can enter the reason-giving fray. So beetles have nothing inside? Sisyphus said. No, Coyote groaned. Do not flatten their head. Contentless does not mean vacant or dead. It means we need not put an essay in every creature's tread. There is feeling and aiming, attraction, alarm, just not always propositions performing their charm. The Wizard of Odds. Then thunder rolled backward. The curtains drew wide. A voivund. Your world is predicted inside! Smoke rose from machinery, lenses, and rods. Behold, cried the voice. I'm the Wizard of Odds. Behind a green curtain, he pulled at a lever. I forecast sensations. I'm Bayesian clever. The senses send fragments, mere shimmer and thud. I guess at their causes before they arrive from the mud. My hierarchy hums from abstract to small. Probably tiger. Perhaps just a wall. Top down come predictions of what should appear. Bottom up comes the mismatch. Open quote, not tiger. Just deer. Close quote. I mostly pass errors, not all sensory stuff. Why ship every detail when surprise is enough? Lou raised up her hand. And when guesses go wrong? 2 options, he sang in a confident song. I alter my model till model fits sight. That's perceptual inference, correcting what's right. Or I alter my action, the world, or my place till sensations arrive as my model forecasts. I revise the map, or I move through the land. I change my belief, or put cup into hand. That second maneuver is active inference. I act to make sensation align with preference. And which error matters? The star child inquired. Precision, cried Odds. How much trust is assigned? Some signals are whispers. Some errors shout loud. Attention helps choose which is signal, which crowd. Sisyphus brightened. So inside the brain there's a model representing the world once again. Perhaps, said the wizard. That's commonly said. Hidden world causes are modeled in head. Coyote peeked under the wizard's machine. Or perhaps, he said, that's too representational a sheen. Maybe the model is not picture or claim, but a pattern of skill wearing inference's name. Some place the whole wizard inside of the skull. Some stretch him through body and world as a whole. Some say prediction and action can blend with an active engagement from beginning to end. And Radical Fox says, beware of content. You may have dynamics without what words meant. The wizard looked wounded. My math is first rate. Your math, Coyote answered, is not the debate. The quarrel concerns what the math says minds are, an internal world model, or coupling without one so far. When prediction becomes dogma, the green grump crept near while the others debated and adjusted the wizard until errors were gated. He turned down surprise. He turned certainty high. He labeled each mismatch irrelevant lie. There, said the grump rat. Now your model is pure. Nothing outside can make it unsure. The wizard predicted that everyone cheered, then filtered the silence until cheers appeared. He predicted betrayal, then glared at each friend until friendship withdrew and confirmed him again. He predicted the room was entirely unsafe, then boarded the windows and lived in a safe. Sisyphus frowned. That's a neat little curse. He alters the world till prediction gets worse, then calls his success proof the model was right. Yes, Coyote said. Active inference can bite. When a seam stays open, the error may teach. When the seam has been sealed, correction can't reach. Then the model stops learning and conquers instead. It edits the living to match what is dead. The wall says, the world must conform to my chart. The seam says, the world may revise me in part. Lou tugged one green curtain aside. Then health isn't having no boundary? No, Coyote replied. A self without edges would scatter and spill. A self sealed completely would rigidly still. Life needs a boundary sturdy enough to keep making itself when conditions get rough, yet open enough to exchange and be changed, to notice when world and prediction are estranged. The stone, the seam, and the patch. Sisyphus leaned on his boulder at last. So must I abandon the stone in my past? No, said the child. But perhaps you can see the stone is not punishment only. It's feedback with gravity. The builder inspected a crack in the rock. It's not asking for worship. It's asking for thought. Cell said, I stay me by remaking my edge. Beetle said nothing and slipped through the hedge. The wizard adjusted one doubtful machine. The grump left a brick, but unsealed one small seam. The prince watched sunset 44 times, while Coyote concluded in 4 little rhymes. Open quote. Spencer Brown gave us the difference, the cut. The living cell showed it needn't stay shut. And activism walked where the two sides entwine. Radical minds danced before drawing a sign. Close quote, open quote. The wizard predicted what next would appear, then error came knocking with news from out here. The question was never, have boundaries at all? It was, can your distinction still answer the call? Close quote. A wall says I'm final. A wound says I'm torn. A seam says we differ, and contact is born. It holds without hiding. It opens without spilling. It changes without losing the pattern it's willing to make and remake in the world it must meet. Not flawless, not finished, still taking the street. And Coyote's last lesson, while stealing loose cake, open quote, a seam is a boundary that remembers it was made. Close quote.